All right, we are live. So this is not a recording. You see, this is live. So welcome to session 2/3 because it's like technically three, but really session two. And we are with the lovely Michelle Lenore, and she's going to be talking to you guys about government certifications. And so, really quick, how many of you guys were in the first session with Chantel? And so, if you were in the first session, if you can do me a favor and type the number one. So, if you were in the first session, type number one. If you missed it, go ahead and type the number two. And so this morning session was so good that I actually went and did another video afterwards to process what I had just watched. Even though I was in the video. And so that one was a recording, but it was still amazing. And so, number one, if you caught it, number two, if you missed it, and if you want, give us some nuggets from the first session that you've learned. If you are in VIP, you will get the replay. So don't worry about that. And so I'm going to go ahead and let Miss Michelle Lenore, and a lot of you ladies know who she is, but I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hey, ladies, I am so excited to be here. This is one of my favorite topics. I know y'all may hear me say that a lot. Like, this is one of my favorite topics. And this falls under diversity and inclusion, what I do. That's what I do. I love to help people get to their next. So, again, like Maria said, my name is Michelle Lenore, and I help businesses just like yours, okay, if you're making now this is my caveat, if you're making or if you're looking to make $500,000 or more to go to the next level by utilizing government contracts and grants. And why am I excited to help you? Y'all see my little tag underneath there? It's called Reaching Millions by Reaching Millions. So as I help others, that's where I get to the millions, right? And then with that S, get to the billions, and then get to the trillions. But pretty much helping small business, helping minority business show and demonstrate their professional persona, so they become the go-to vendor for Fortune 500 companies and of course for the government.
All right. So, as you can see, when she said if you're making 500,000, she's going to help you get to the millions, which means before you can get to the millions, you got to at least get to the six figures, 100,000. So, Michelle is like the next step. Once you hit the six figures and multiple six figures, you're going to be like, hey, how can I take this to the next level and reach millions? Now, is this to say this is the only way to reach millions? Absolutely not. But it is one of the sure ways, as far as Michelle talks all the time, that the government is the best customer. And so it does not matter what industry you're in. And she's going to give some examples. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, you can get a government contract. And so while you guys are here, do me a favor and type in the comments what industry you're in, whether it's hair, whether it's like nails, or if you want to say beauty. I know some people make like lotions and soap and or even hair products. If you are a coach, if you do graphic design, I know some people do graphic design, taxes, like all these different things. Tell us in the comments what industry you're in, and we're going to use one of your industries as an example. So if you want to be picked, you got to tell us what industry you are in. And so I am going to go ahead and ask Michelle some questions to help you guys. It's really to help you realize you need this. And so, really quick, Michelle, if you can start by telling people what is government certification and why do they need that?
Wow, that is a really good question. I get that all the time. And so the government certification helps you get placed in a particular pool of people. So me, I help with consulting, and underneath that consulting, helping people or businesses get certified. I also help with resume writing, capability statements, and one of my favorite platforms, LinkedIn, right? And so I know you say I knew it was going to say LinkedIn. And so underneath that, if I am going for a contract and I am bidding for a contract that against another company that may be worth millions, then I don't have the resources that they have, or millions and billions, high millions, billions. I don't have the resources. So this particular certification helps to level the playing field. All right. So why get certified? That's one reason. The other reason is to showcase your diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion is really huge. And they need to know, when I say they, it's the government, it's corporations, they need to know that they are meeting their diversity goal. And even though you are a diverse company, you're like, well, Michelle, I'm a solopreneur, I'm a single member LLC, I'm the only one working here. They still don't know if you have control of that particular business. And once you are certified, then they know. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to guess. They don't have to do any of that. And then that helps a lot of large corporations and governments to reach their diversity goal. Also, oh, Maria, you was about to say something.
I was, because actually that reminded me during the pandemic. I had Pretty Princess, and that was a business, because it was brick and mortar, that really I wanted that government money. And they had something that came out. I don't know if it was just Georgia or over the United States, but it was funding for businesses that were women owned. And I was like, I'm woman owned, right? Because I said so, because I know that I am a woman owned business. And I couldn't get the money because you had to have that certification. I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm a woman owned. I'm minority owned because I'm Black and I'm a woman, and disadvantaged because we didn't make a certain amount. I knew these things, but you had to have that certain label to actually be able to receive that funding. And so you can say what you were about to say, but also let them know, I guess, some of the, I know it's a lot, but some of those titles that are included in the certification, like what does that look like?
Yeah, so you had mentioned something that a lot of people missed out on. So I do want to touch based on that, because during 2020, I was in North Carolina and I was certified. And they wanted to make sure, because again, we were getting complaints that not enough minority companies was actually getting that stimulus money, that COVID money. They weren't getting that. And they wanted to make sure that enough minority companies was getting that. If you did not have that certification, you could not qualify for these free funds. And when I say free funds, you didn't have to report back on how you used it. You could just state, of course, you have to have your paperwork. Again, I know Maria talks all about that, making sure you have your LLC, your EIN, all of that. You had to have all of that information. You had to have the certification. You had to show that you had the certification. Also, you had to show that you paid taxes within that state. Okay. So all of this stuff, that it was like everything that you needed to have this information. So one of the acronyms was HUB, which is historically underutilized business. The other one is MBE, which is Minority Business Enterprise. There are two of those. I won't go into a whole lot of that, except it is for minority businesses, that you could be a minority or you could be a female. The other one is the WBE, which is Woman Business Enterprise. And then you have the ED/WOSB, which is Economically Disadvantaged Woman Owned Small Business.
There's so
Did you see that
many.
right now?
Like all these
Not all of them.
ABCs.
That's not all of them either.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, and I didn't know any of these things, these terminologies, or what it until I met Michelle. So one of the reasons why I'm so glad I met you, because she opened up my world to a whole nother world, right? And so it's important to get these certifications. And we always say, be ready so you don't have to get ready. The last thing you want to have happen is, the government say, hey, we got all these extra funds and we're giving them to women-owned businesses. And you're like, I'm a woman-owned business. And they're like, where's your certification? Ooh, I don't have that. And so also, like you mentioned, when you have these certifications, they also help you bid against other larger corporations when it comes to those big contracts. And so if my community organization, which you helped to get certified in Wisconsin, if I wanted to bid for a contract and go up against the YMCA, which is nationwide, I would be able to put my foot in the door and be able to have something to stand on because I have these certifications, right? And
Absolutely.
so outside of that, tell the ladies, and again, because they're small businesses, and eventually they will have like multiple employees if they're a solopreneur. Why do they need a government certification outside of what we said already now?
No, that's good. So, as you said, we talked about funding. The other thing is that you can partner up with Fortune 500, Fortune 500 companies or even large companies that Maria just mentioned or organizations. Believe it or not, within the YMCA, I don't think a YMCA is a .org. I could be wrong. Okay, so we won't use the
I
YMCA. So
was like, I don't
I
know.
was like, "Ooh, I'm not sure." Okay, so the one I always use is like Microsoft.
Okay.
Microsoft is humongous, right? But Microsoft has a contract with the government. Now, within that contract, it has a certain percentage in that contract that they have to, okay? They must, okay? You cannot go past stop. You have to get a minority certified business to have this contract because if they don't have someone subcontracting on this contract, then they get penalized. All right. So if you have the certification, guess what? Microsoft is looking for you. Now, Maria said, be ready, don't get ready. So if you know that you're in IT and you want to work with Microsoft, you go to their supplier diversity portal and you fill in all your information and you upload your certification. This way, they know that you're ready. They're not guessing. They're not thinking like, oh boy, we got to find another IT. No, you're already there. Okay. And then they also have programs where they go ahead and they bring you up and they have questions, which is really, really great. But again, you have to be ready. You can't be getting ready to be a part of a program as huge as that. And they have it. And it's just not within the IT. I had a client where Microsoft was building a new location and her husband, they are in construction and she has that 51%. We'll talk about that later. She has that was 51%. She thought it was great, but again, it's like an interview process. Do I want to be a part of this? And she realized the money wasn't enough. It would have looked great on her portfolio, but her and her husband talked about it and the percentage it wasn't great enough for them. So because the percentage wasn't great enough for them, they decided to pass on that. So as a business owner, you know it might look good, but just like any other opportunity, you have to make sure that it's making sense.
All right, got you. Sorry, camera just came in, bust in, mom. Yeah, so tell us. I don't remember much, but I remember you telling us before. And so, guys, Michelle is not a stranger to this platform. So we have a lot of different videos in the group. So you can always kind of scroll and see. But remind us about the lady that you worked with who had a government contract. Was it through LinkedIn where she went like from zero to like millions with like
Yeah,
real fast? Like, tell us about that situation.
absolutely. So thank God it wasn't millions, but she was at the six figures. Things were still like a little iffy. And so she had her certification, but her LinkedIn wasn't up to date. And so we had a conversation, and I was like, okay,
LinkedIn stuff good.
yeah, right. And when I say 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, all right, within 2 weeks of her LinkedIn being completed, she was signing for her business a multi-million dollar contract. So y'all know there was a whole lot that was in between that two
Of
weeks.
course. Yeah, yeah.
Of course, she
And
was
one, she had you helping her.
well,
Let's
okay, right? That part.
uh-huh.
And so the one part was she was certified. So that was the first thing. The other thing was that within LinkedIn, she didn't have her keywords. So you guys hear SEO and keywords. This makes a difference. This makes a huge difference.
Yep.
And because she just had her information out there, like, oh yeah, I'm a part of this and I'm part of that, I was like, that will not get you to the next step. And so going into her LinkedIn, we spruced it up. Well, we more than spruced it up. We revamped it. And the what happens is that investors, partners, Fortune 500 companies, somebody who wants to collaborate, they are looking for you. But if your information is not up to date, just in case you guys don't know what LinkedIn is, it's not Facebook, it's not Instagram. It is a professional social media platform where you display all of your professionalism. Okay, but we'll talk about that later. Well, maybe not. I mean, look, I know I keep saying later. You were like, that's 2 hours later. But within that time, once we did her LinkedIn, a few days later, she was like, hey, Michelle, such and such company reached out to me. They're flying me and the team out. I was like, what? She was like, me and the team. They went there, they negotiated, they came back, they negotiated. Like I said, 2 weeks later, a multi-million-dollar contract was signed.
That is so awesome. That and so I want to make sure when we get to the end, we're going to let the ladies know who are not quite six figures what they can be doing now to get them prepared for reaching millions by reaching millions. So I want to ask you, and actually before I ask you this question, Michelle is of course a faith figure, and we have this sisterhood amongst all of us in that we're in the faith figure program. And so Michelle has pretty much talked to almost all of us and helped almost all of us get government certified. And so I know like you worked with Nakrissa, who does transportation. You work with Nicole, who has a staffing business. You got me, who, and it was actually my community organization that's not nonprofit, it's for profit. And so you can touch on that if you want, that you can't be a nonprofit. I know you kind of helped Chantel a little bit, and she does like coaching and things like that. So again, it's really any industry. I want to say again, any underline capital letters, any industry you are in. You just don't think about like, oh, well, I do this, so I can't. Yes, you can. And so tell us an example of an industry that can utilize government contracts.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do want to make just a brief correction with Nakrissa. She was already certified,
Okay.
but her and I, we did talk about her next certification. So I wanted to, I just want to clear that up. But Maria said any industry, right? And so with any industry, she's right. If you guys ever watched me, we were talking about consulting. Maria, she does everything.
I knew that was coming. I was like,
I was trying not to. I was like,
I started laughing already.
what don't she do? But it's anything. We talked about shoes, we talk about clothes, we talk about technology, of course, construction. Sometimes we only think of construction, we only think about supplies. And if you guys, of course, if you are watching me, you've seen my latest post that I'm challenging you guys, like, give me any industry and I'll show you that there's a contract out there. So one of the ones that I found was for music. Yes, you heard it. Music, music, music. So have you ever been in the airport and you hear music floating through the hallways? That is a government contract. Okay. And they do look for minority companies, minority certified companies. And on my profile, I did show you guys the link of one that had actually just been closed. Was March? Okay, uh, at the end of January, it was
So
just
by
closed.
music, you mean live music or like music
Live
playing
music.
in a? Okay.
Yep, live music. And usually with that live music, they allow you to do a mix. So if you are a musician, if you play music and you live in a state that has an airport, okay, I know I was being funny. That you're like, wait a minute. That they actually look for musicians who float around, the airport and they play music. I live in Atlanta. I saw a young lady, she was playing, I want to say around like Christmas time when I was flying to Faith Figures Conference. There was a lady who was playing in the airport. I already knew that she had to get a contract for that. Something as simple as that.
That is so cool. And I saw a few people in the comments put down that they do coaching. And so they were very specific on what the coaching was. But just like coaching and consulting, I believe that maybe something like that, people are like, okay, well, because I know like even Chantel, self-love specialists, we have people who do therapy in the coaching space. And like I help women do XYZ. How can government contracts help somebody that teach in that way?
No, that's a really good question, Maria, because you are either on the leadership side of coaching. So before you be like, Michelle, well, I don't put that in there. Well, just put that in there.
You should. You should now go put it in there.
I know you're on the leadership side of it or the mental wellness side of coaching. So that's a lot what they look at. So, of course, under the leadership, we're talking about your careers, we're talking about taking leaders from here to there. That can also fall under mental wellness a little separately, that you could take leaders along with other mid level employees, entry level, junior level, making sure that their mind is right. So those are the biggest right now that's competing. And of course, almost forgot, but this falls under leadership also, diversity. Diversity is huge when it comes to consulting. So I want you to take a look at whatever you do, does it fall under leadership, diversity, or mental wellness? Because those are like the three biggest ones that they're looking at to bring in consultants and coaches.
Okay, so coaches, all you guys who wrote coaching to some degree in the comments, there you go. You can get a government certification and contract as well. And so, two more questions, and I'm gonna let you go. Like how you say, I'm gonna release you.
I know.
How did you actually get started in this? Now, actually, it was like, I don't think I've ever asked that question. So I don't even know the answer to this. So tell us, how did you get started in just being in the government certification contract world?
Well, I worked for a few trillion-dollar companies.
Oh.
Okay. And yet the trillions, y'all. And different times I would see contracts that would come again from very large corporations or businesses that were making high seven-figure, eight, nine-figure businesses. And then I saw ones that were trying to. Okay, they were like, and they could do it, but they could do the service on a smaller scale. One of the things that I would see, it wasn't the fact that they didn't have the capacity or the capability to do the job, it was their presentation. And because I've been working with executives for over 15 years to upscale, level up their presentation, that's what small business owners are. We're executives, and so we have to bring forth a professional persona. So when I was leaving and I was transitioning out of corporate America, I knew that a lot of the small businesses, they needed this service. Of course, I was already doing the resumes, I was already doing the LinkedIn profiles, but then they needed that extra layer of the capability statement. Okay. And then really what their business LinkedIn looked like, and reviewing even their website. And how do you present yourself? Are you presenting yourself to be the best of the best, even if it's the best of the best, but of the best of the small piece? And so I brought that into what I was doing to really elevate a lot of the small businesses, because they don't know that they're competing with large corporations within corporations. They don't have a whole lot of what the government has with the set asides. They do have the contracts that they're working with the government. But again, if you're not bringing your or putting your best foot forward, again, look at your pictures. Go ahead and have a photo shoot. If you don't currently have that in your budget, there's so many opportunities and options that's out there that you can
Wait a
utilize.
minute.
What?
You do have that in your budget. Let me tell you, because like me, Michelle, and a few of our friends, we actually went and did a photo shoot with our iPhones. And so you can get if you guys like see my page, I had like this white jumpsuit on. I got that jumpsuit from like what was it, Ross, for like $20-$30, and it looks amazing. And now
Mhm.
some of us did get our makeup done professionally, but that's just because we were trying to look a certain way. And we went to an apartment, and it was like a condo complex. It wasn't apartments, it
Mhm.
was condos. But you can go to a hotel, and like if you even go to a real fancy hotel, and just sometimes in their hallways or like the lounges or whatever, they have a really nice backdrop, and just start taking some pictures. This is why it's cold outside. When it gets nicer, go outside to like a lake or to a flower, like wherever, and take some professional pictures. So professional doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go spend hundreds of dollars and be in a photo shoot with a photographer that has this big fancy camera. We have iPhones that take really good pictures. And so the videos that we did videos, we did like content for reels, we took pictures, and it came out really, really nice. And so sometimes think outside of the box. If you can't do it this way, how can you do it this way? And so if you are a professional, you need to start updating your pictures to be more professional type pictures. So
Yeah.
that's just one nugget there. And so how can you help a small business, you specifically? How do you help, or if you do, or how can you help, or what should a person who does not quite make six figures be doing right now?
So for the government contracts, now this is for profit only. Let me say that again, for profit only. All right. So I have to say that because I know I get a lot of, Michelle, can I do as a nonprofit? Nope. That's the grant side of things. We're talking about government contracts today and certifications. A few things that you guys have to do, and that is make sure that your business is registered. So you can be a sole proprietor and or a single member LLC along with a S corp corporation. You can be all of those things or one of those things. You can't be all of those things, but one of
No,
those.
you
You
should
can be
not
one
be on those things.
no, you should not be all those things. But you have to be registered within your state. That's one thing. You have to have a business checking account. I, I'm going to say that a little slower. Business, separate from your personal. You need to have that.
You know,
Okay.
like that tax tip I gave a few weeks prior. I gave a whole bunch of tax tips where I said you need to have two, a business and a personal, and do not commingle. This is
Yes.
one of the reasons why.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's yeah, that's a whole nother you like that's a whole nother conversation. The other thing is just simple things. I know Maria, if not during this challenge, she always talks about this, having your EIN. And of course, to have your business register, you have to have an EIN. Just simple things like that. And as you begin to go into the government, go to sam.gov. And when you go to sam.gov, you need your UEI number. Okay.
And that's
And
new.
I'm sorry.
And that's new, right? Within the past like year or two.
It is.
Yep.
They're trying to have it replace the Duns number. I don't know if Duns was making a whole lot of money, and the government was like, "Okay, we need to bring that. We need to bring that back in house." Don't get rid of your DUNS number. A lot of us we have our DUNS number because a lot of the government they have not switched over to
Mm-hmm.
the UEI number, but you do need both. They will ask you to do that so you can register your business in sam.gov. Again, I have courses and consultations to help you out with that. But let me say it is free. So if you are a go getter, go get it. Just,
You a go getter, go.
I know that's
That was good. That was good. Okay. And actually, I got a bonus question for you, real quick.
okay.
Um, and this is actually I'm going to be announcing some things coming up, and so this is really with coaching in general, right? And so type one if you ever taken a course or you ever ran into somebody that you felt like was gatekeeping information. So like you feel, and I've actually experienced this where I paid for a course, but it always felt like I was still missing information. So like you'll give me a piece here, and then I'm like, okay, but I feel like I'm missing something and you're not telling me. Or then I go have to take this, and then you give me another little nugget, and then now I gotta go take this to get another nugget. And sometimes you still don't have enough glue in between to put everything together. And so specifically dealing with government contracts or certifications, why do you think people gatekeep that information?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I think one of the things is because it's so massive, and sometimes people don't know beyond their state or even their county. And when I say it's massive, it is different. Even within the same county, one department can present a contract completely different than the other department. So that's one of the things. The other thing is I've seen this, and I I exactly don't want to say this part, unless I know the person. But if I know that you do this, then we're not friends. I'm like, some people just don't want other people to know. It's
Okay.
like it's my toy. This is mine's, and they don't want anybody else to have it. They want to look like the smartest person in the room. But I want to say that this is where a lot of us were missing out because we don't collaborate. One,
Yes.
some of the largest contracts that have been given and awarded are through collaborations.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that again. You have to collaborate. And so let me
Yeah.
give you an example. So when a government building, when they are moving to another building, then they have to get the rewiring. Okay. And then a lot of times if they're moving, then they need new furniture. And then if the building is larger, then they need security. Okay. You see where I'm going. And then if the building is larger, they need toilet paper. They need soap, they need paper towels. So just imagine if you and several other people who had what I just mentioned would come together and bid on such a contract. Everybody wins. All right. Everybody wins. And you notice everything that I mentioned, Maria mentioned beauty. So, yes, the government, you go into courthouse or wherever you're going into a government building, they have soap,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have paper towel. All of this is contracts. They don't have anybody running down to a Walgreens to pick up any of that stuff. These are all contracts. So whatever you do, whatever that's happening, I want you to think about who you can collaborate with within your state or within the nation. Of course, you have state minority certifications and you have national ones. Think about who you can collaborate with so you can bid on that
Mm-hmm.
multi-million dollar contract.
Collaboration is key.
Mm, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
good. All right. So if you guys have not checked your email, I believe it was like either yesterday or the day before yesterday. There was an email that came out introducing Michelle, and in that email also was a freebie of hers. So she was so generous enough to go ahead and offer you guys a freebie. Really quick, tell them what that freebie is and how they use that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, I sound like a little kid. This
She's excited
freebie,
about her freebie.
I know. This freebie is so much fun, right? So when I say in the fun that you'll watch things move and whatever and color code it, this is the personal net worth calculator, okay, for both your home and your business. So you can utilize it for both. And the purpose of this personal net worth calculator is to show your assets and your liabilities and see what you are really worth. The reason why I wanted to give this freebie out, because when you get these minority certifications, this is one thing that is asked in all of the certifications. You have to know what your net worth is because there's a such thing. Now, there's not a such thing that's too low, but there's a such thing that's too high. So there are some guidelines that, your income can't be over $750,000. But I think they moved that up. It might be like $850,000 now. So that's for one of the certifications. Another certification is that your net worth cannot be over $1.32 million. Okay, that's minus your primary home, right? So this is all of this is important. And so you may say, oh, Michelle, well, I own this and I own that. I don't know how much that's worth. Well, I gave you this fun calculator, very, very easy to use. But
This
I
is
want
good to tell this is your lane because that's fun to you. Like fun. What? But it's like you said, it's important information that you need to know. It helps you know where you are. And sometimes when you look at it, it might be depressing, but just know that's where you are now. That's not where you're going to go. And so you need to know where you are so that you can move to the next level. And so it's a true depiction of everything. And because if you, let's say you make six figures, but you spend 900,000, or no, let's just say 999,000, what is your net worth, right? And so, yeah, that's important information to know. So go ahead and check that email out. It's a click. It say like freebie. I don't even remember what it says, but it's the email that you'll see Michelle's face. And so go back in your emails if you haven't seen that and go ahead and check out that freebie. So this was great. Thank you so much for coming, Michelle. And I'm going to let you tell them what you have coming out pretty soon. But just so you guys know, tomorrow we have the wealth strategist coming up, learning how to make money and keep money like the rich. Because the rich, when they have a whole nother game that they're playing that a lot of us don't even know about. It's like, how did Donald Trump not pay all that money for his taxes, right? And people was mad. I'm not mad. I want to know what he did. Right. And so, like, even if you guys ever watch like HGTV and they go and get this really big house and they were like, oh, yeah, but I'm a school teacher. Like, how did teacher that house look like? It's like 800,000. You know what I mean? There are secrets and there are strategies to wealth that people outside of our culture know about. And so the wealth strategist tomorrow, she's going to be on at 7 p.m. At 12 p.m., we got two lovely ladies. They're going to talk about home ownership as an entrepreneur. Now, why did I have them come on? I had them on because for those who want to buy a house, and let's say you are actually working your 9 to 5 right now, a lot of people don't know that home ownership is different when you are an entrepreneur. And so this is really giving you the tools and resources and understanding that you need to have before you make any moves. Or let's say you want to buy a house in the near future and you're 100% self-employed. It's a different process. It involves taxes. It involves maybe a larger down payment. And so these are all things that you want to know. Again, I'm all about giving you information that's not necessarily out there and being taught. And it's also a great foundation for your business. And so some people might decide to change their mind and not jump out their 9 to 5 job just yet. And so we talk about all the different things that involves buying a house as an entrepreneur, 100% entrepreneur, meaning all the money that comes in is based on you and your efforts and not coming from a job. And so, Michelle, if you can tell the lovely ladies where they can find you and if there's anything that you have coming up.
Yes. So you guys can find me at lensconsultingfirm.com. I know the information is linked in there. And then you can find me, of course, through the freebie. This is free, that Maria had mentioned. What I have happening now is that I want to help more people. So you guys see Reaching Millions by Reaching Millions, right? I want to help more people faster. And I know you guys are busy, and a lot of the information, I went ahead and I made it on demand. Okay. And it's the same. I know they were like, it's about time, Michelle.
I've been talking to her about this for years. It's what is passive income. Okay, I'm sorry. We'll talk about that another day. Multiple income.
Michelle.
I'm so excited for that. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just excited. Okay, go ahead.
And it's a step-by-step process. So yes, before you say, oh, Michelle, these are long videos, of course they are. Of course they are, because I need you to know everything. I need you to go step by step by step. So you are listening to me as I'm filling out the application with you. We're doing it together. And again, because it's on demand, you know, you can pause it, you can fast forward, you can go back, you can do it. My purpose of doing that is because I want to make more millionaires. This reaching millions by reaching millions, it's just not my millions. When
Exactly.
y'all
That's so
when
good.
y'all hit those millions so far, you know, because so one of my goals is to have at least to create 14 people to be millionaires within my program. And so far, I only have 12 more to go. So I was excited
Ooh. If
about that.
you're next, go ahead and type in the comments, I'm next. You're reaching millions to reach millions. So go ahead and type I'm next. Because I did actually make a post the other day on my page. Who's ready to be in the 2 Comma Club? So that's $1 million plus. And so I want to see a whole bunch of I'm next. All right. So that you set the website, you got on-demand classes, meaning that you can do it at your own pace, and ladies at your own pace. Anything else you want to add before we leave out of here?
Yeah, I just want to let you ladies know, don't let this make you nervous. This is just put it on your business plan as something to do, because one thing that's great about working for the government, not working for the government, being a vendor for the government, let me get that straight,
Yeah.
that whatever you're doing now, you could do the same exact thing for the government. You don't have to create another service. You don't have to create another product. You don't have to do any of that. You're doing the same thing. You're just presenting yourself to the government so you can get more money faster, right? Because as one of the things I said, the government has your wealth. It's your money. It's your tax money. It's our tax money. Go get my tax money so you can go ahead and send your daughter to college.
Exactly. And this cuts out having to do reels, having to post all the time, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it is more work in the beginning, but less work throughout. Whereas without the government and reaching millions that way, it's throughout. You're constantly doing work, right? Unless you have passive income. That's another story. We'll get to that on another day. So yes, thank you so much for being here. We actually have to get ready for a VIP section of somebody else's that we're in. We're excited about that. And so we get coaching too. This is our spiritual mentor. So we're excited.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies, I will see you guys tomorrow morning for the morning motivation. Remember that all these lives are not kept on the page. They are deleted within 30 minutes. And if you want to catch the replay, you have to be in VIP to get the replay. So, all right. Thank you so much, Michelle, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye.